The elevator shuddered and came to an abrupt halt. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the thin walls like an omen. I gripped the rail beside me, trying to steady my breathing, but my chest tightened. The lights flickered, once, twice, and then cut out, leaving us in complete darkness. My heart pounded in my ears. It was supposed to be a quick trip. Nothing could go wrong. But now, everything had gone wrong. I reached for the emergency button, but my hand froze. A cold, chilling laugh echoed through the confined space. I spun around, trying to locate the source, but the darkness swallowed the sound. "I don't like this," I whispered to myself. My voice was shaky, a mere tremor of the panic gnawing at my insides. Then I heard it again. A voice. "Don't panic," he said, his voice calm but cold. "I'm not going to hurt you." I froze. The man beside me had said nothing. Yet, somehow, he knew my name. My eyes strained to adjust, but all I could see was the faint outline of his figure standing perfectly still, watching me. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I know everything about you," he replied, his words icy and far too certain. "Everything." I tried to catch my breath, the sound of my rapid pulse louder than anything else in the confined space. The stranger's voice, calm and assured, continued to reverberate in my mind. Everything. What did he mean by that? What could he possibly know about me? "Who are you?" I asked again, my voice quivering. "What do you want from me?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, I heard him move closer, the faint shuffle of shoes on the metal floor. A breath, a slow exhale, was the only warning I had before the weight of his presence became overwhelming. His voice broke the silence. "I told you," he said, the tone eerily patient. "I know everything. About your past. The things you buried long ago." I felt my stomach turn. He couldn't know. He couldn't. But something in his voice made it sound so certain, so terrifyingly real. My heart skipped a beat, and I stepped back, instinctively pressing my back against the cold wall. "You've been running from it," he continued, his words lingering in the air. "But it's all coming back now." Fear clawed at my throat. I had to escape. But I had no idea how to escape from him. From the truth he seemed to be holding over me. I wanted to scream, to demand answers. But the fear in my chest stifled my voice, turning it into a dry whisper. "How do you know all of that?" I could barely force the words out. The stranger didn't move, but his voice felt closer, as though it was in my ear, surrounding me. "You think you've hidden it, but I've been watching. I whispered, my heart racing even faster. The silence in the elevator became suffocating, and the walls seemed to close in around me. "Yes," he answered. "I know what you've done, and why." The panic surged again, but I couldn't make sense of it. Who was this man? How could he know so much about me? He stepped closer, and for the first time I felt a chill run through me that had nothing to do with the malfunctioning lights. "You're not safe here," he said quietly. "Not anymore." I couldn't breathe. The air felt thick, like I was suffocating in the silence. The sound of my heartbeat was louder than anything else. I could feel the sweat pooling in my palms, but I couldn't move. "You don't understand," I managed to choke out. "You don't know what I've been through." He didn't respond right away. I heard him take a step closer, his breath barely audible in the suffocating air. "I understand more than you think," he replied, voice colder than ever. "Who are you?" I demanded again, my words now filled with desperation. "I'm the one you can't escape," he said, his voice steady and assured. "The one who will make you face the truth." The elevator felt smaller now, as though the walls were closing in, pushing me toward the truth I had tried so hard to forget. "You'll never be free," he whispered. "Not from me. Not from what you've done." I can't face it," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Not again." The words left my lips like a confession, and I immediately regretted them. The stranger didn't say anything. His silence was worse than any accusation. You're not alone, he said finally, his tone softening ever so slightly. I'm here for you, in ways you can't understand yet. His words chilled me more than the darkness ever could. I wanted to run, to scream, but I was trapped. Trapped in this suffocating elevator with him. I don't have a choice, do I? I whispered, barely able to breathe. He didn't answer. But his silence was enough. The stranger's words hung in the air, unspoken truths that felt like a noose tightening around my neck. I know everything about you, he said. My throat tightened. How could he? How could anyone know? My hands began to shake uncontrollably as I tried to recall every moment of my life, every secret I thought was buried. I turned my eyes toward him, the shadows barely revealing his face, but I could feel his gaze piercing into me. You're wrong, I whispered. You don't know me. But the way he looked at me, his steady and unwavering presence, made me doubt myself. You think you can run from your past? He asked, his voice soft but filled with accusation. I've been waiting for this moment. Fear twisted inside me. What do you want from me? I forced the question out, my voice barely above a whisper. He took a step forward, his calmness making everything feel worse. I want you to remember, he said. I want you to face what you've buried. You can't keep running from it forever. A sickening feeling settled in my stomach as the weight of his words pressed down on me. Was this the reason I was here? Why everything had gone wrong? I tried to swallow the lump in my throat, but it wouldn't go away. What do you mean, face what I've buried? My voice cracked, betraying the panic that was bubbling up inside me. The stranger didn't answer right away. He simply watched me, his dark eyes piercing through the gloom. My skin prickled under his gaze, and I took a step back, instinctively wanting to distance myself from him. You already know what I'm talking about, he said after a long pause. But you've locked it away. And that's why you're here, in this moment, in this elevator with me. I shook my head, denying it. No, that's not true. I haven't locked anything away. He smiled, a slow, almost pitying smile. Denial won't save you. It's already too late. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized he was right. I had been running from something. Something I couldn't remember, but I could feel it pressing against me, suffocating me. Tell me, I demanded, almost pleading now. What am I supposed to remember? His smile didn't falter. You'll remember soon enough. I pressed my hands to my ears, as if blocking out his voice could stop the flood of panic rising inside me. I don't remember, I shouted, my voice trembling. I don't know what you're talking about. But he wasn't fazed. His gaze never wavered. You're lying, he said quietly. I know the truth, and so do you. You can feel it. I sank down onto the cold floor, my legs too weak to support me. The stranger didn't move, his presence like a dark cloud hovering over me. You've been running from the truth your entire life, he continued, his voice smooth and steady. But it's here now, in this moment. You can't escape. I felt my chest constrict as I tried to understand what he was saying. How could he know? Why was he doing this? I closed my eyes, trying to block him out, but the weight of his words was suffocating. I've always been here, he murmured, waiting for you to face what you've hidden. I opened my eyes, trying to focus on the stranger's face, but all I saw was a blur of shadows. Why are you doing this to me? I whispered. What do you want? He tilted his head slightly, studying me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I want you to remember who you are, he replied softly. You've spent your life hiding, but the truth is always waiting, always watching. The elevator seemed to shrink, the walls closing in around me as the air grew thick with unspoken words. No, I said, shaking my head. I can't face it. I can't. I'll lose everything. You've already lost everything, he said, his voice now filled with a cold finality. You just haven't realized it yet. My pulse quickened. What did he mean? What had I lost? I couldn't breathe. You've been living a lie, he continued. But the truth will come for you, and you can't stop it. I don't want to know, I whispered, my voice shaking. I don't want to remember. The stranger took a step closer, his face now fully illuminated by the flickering emergency lights. His expression softened slightly, but there was still a coldness in his eyes. "It's too late to pretend," he said gently. I clenched my fists, trying to hold on to whatever scraps of control I had left. "I'm not who you think I am," I said, but even I could hear the doubt in my voice. "You are who you are," he replied, his voice almost sympathetic. "But you've been hiding from it, from yourself." Tears blurred my vision, and I let out a shaky breath. "What did I do?" I asked, barely audible. The stranger was silent for a long moment, his eyes watching me intently. Then he spoke, his voice low and heavy. "You'll find out soon enough, but you have to be ready." I couldn't breathe. The silence in the elevator felt suffocating, the weight of his words pressing down on me like a physical force. The elevator shook again, this time harder, as if something outside was threatening to tear it apart. My heart raced. "What's happening?" I whispered, fear flooding my voice. The stranger was still eerily calm, watching me like he had all the answers. "It's starting," he said simply. "The end is near." I could feel the walls of the elevator closing in, suffocating me with every passing second. The lights flickered once more, casting strange, unsettling shadows on the floor. "What do you mean by it starting?" I managed to ask, my voice barely audible. The stranger didn't answer immediately. He stepped closer, his gaze unwavering, the cold air in the confined space making my skin prickle. "The truth is coming," he said quietly, his voice filled with certainty. "And you will have no choice but to face it." I felt a sudden rush of panic, the kind that made my legs feel like jelly. "I can't," I whispered, as my vision blurred with fear. "I can't do this." "You have to," he said, his voice now sharp and unyielding. "It's too late to turn back now. The lies you've told yourself are crumbling, and with them, so is everything you thought you knew." I stumbled backward, trying to steady myself, but the floor beneath me felt unstable, like it was about to give way. "What lies? What have I done?" I gasped. But there was no answer. Only the sound of the elevator's groaning and the stranger's cold, emotionless gaze. I could feel the weight of his words pressing down on me, the suffocating tension making it hard to breathe. The air was thick, charged with an energy I couldn't understand. I turned to him, my voice shaky. "What have you done to me?" The stranger didn't flinch. "I haven't done anything," he said softly. "You did this to yourself." I shook my head, backing away from him. "I don't understand. I don't even know who you are." "You will," he replied, his voice low and almost soothing. "Everything will become clear soon. You can't keep running from what you've done. You can't hide forever." Tears filled my eyes as I collapsed to the floor. "I don't know what you want from me," I whispered. "I don't remember anything." The stranger's face softened, just a little. "It's not about what you remember. It's about who you are now." He stepped closer, his tone suddenly more personal. "And you're not who you think you are." I recoiled, instinctively trying to push away the feeling of his presence, but the air in the elevator felt heavier than ever. "I don't want to know," I choked out, my voice breaking. "I can't." The elevator jolted once more, a deep, rumbling sound that made the entire structure shake. My heart jumped into my throat. "What's happening to this place?" I gasped, gripping the wall to steady myself. The stranger didn't respond right away. Instead, he stepped forward, his movements deliberate. "This place is a reflection of what's happening to you," he said quietly. "The cracks are starting to show, and when they do, there's no going back." I swallowed hard, trying to make sense of his words. "What do you mean? What cracks?" He didn't answer, but his eyes were fixed on me, intense and unblinking. I felt like I was drowning in them. "You know what I'm talking about," he said after a moment, his voice cold and devoid of emotion. "The lies you've built your life on. They're falling apart." I shook my head, frantic now. "I don't want to hear this. I don't want to know." "You don't have a choice," he replied, his voice firm. "The truth will come, and it will shatter everything. You'll see it all. You'll face it." I could feel my body trembling as the reality of his words sank in. The walls around me felt like they were closing in, suffocating me. "I don't want to face it," I whispered, my voice cracking with the weight of fear. The stranger stepped closer, his eyes locked on mine. "You have no choice," he said coldly. "You'll face it whether you're ready or not." The floor beneath my feet felt unstable, like it could give way at any moment. I could feel my breath coming in shallow bursts, panic threatening to take over. "I can't," I pleaded, my voice a mere whisper. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he reached out, placing a hand on my shoulder, his touch cold and distant. "You're stronger than you think," he said softly. "But the truth will break you. It always does." I recoiled from his touch, my heart pounding in my chest. "I don't want it to be strong anymore," I said, tears spilling from my eyes. "I don't want to face this." "You will," he replied quietly. "You have to." The elevator groaned again, the noise deafening in the small, confined space. "What is happening?" I demanded, my voice rising in panic. The stranger's gaze softened for a moment, but there was no warmth in it. "It's happening because you've run out of time," he said. "The truth is here, and it's all coming to the surface." I felt like I was suffocating, the air thick with the weight of his words. "I can't do this," I whispered, my hands shaking uncontrollably. "You can," he replied simply, his voice now colder than before. "And you will." "I don't know how," I said, my breath coming in ragged gasps. "I don't know how to face it." "You don't have a choice," he said, stepping closer. "You never did." The space between us seemed to shrink, the tension building, the truth pressing in on all sides. There was no escape now. The elevator groaned, a deep metallic sound that echoed in my bones. The stranger's eyes seemed sharper now, like he was about to slice through whatever thin layer of sanity I had left. "You're not here by accident," he said, his tone carrying a weight that felt like a verdict. My pulse quickened. "Then why am I here?" I demanded, my voice breaking. His gaze didn't waver. "Because you lied. Not just to others, but to yourself." The words hit like a punch, stealing the air from my lungs. "About what?" I whispered, dread curling in my stomach. He stepped closer, his face finally catching the light. There was something familiar about him, too familiar. "You know me?" he said softly. My head shook before I even realized it. "No, I don't." "Yes," he replied, voice low, unshakable. "I'm the one you left behind." My throat tightened. Memories clawed at the edges of my mind, but I pushed them away. "That's not possible," I breathed. He only smiled, cold knowing, and in that instant, I realized this was no stranger. He had been a ghost in my past all along. My stomach lurched as the truth pressed against my mind like a blade. "You can't be real," I whispered. "You're not supposed to be here." He tilted his head slightly, studying me like I was an open wound. "And yet, here I am," he said. I stepped back, my spine hitting the cold metal wall. You died," I stammered, the memory tasting like iron in my mouth. "I saw it happen." His lips curved into a humorless smile. "Did you?" he asked. "Or did you just tell yourself that so you could sleep at night?" The elevator lights flickered, and for a moment, his face looked younger, like the boy I remembered from years ago. My knees went weak. "This isn't possible," I said again, but my voice was already trembling with doubt. "It's not only possible," he replied, stepping closer, "it's necessary, because you need to remember what you did." I could barely breathe. "What I did?" I echoed, my voice shaking as the words scraped my throat. His stare was relentless. "You left me there," he said, his tone quiet but razor-edged. "You walked away while I screamed for you." My hands flew to my ears, trying to block him out. No, that's not how it happened," I said, panic spilling into my voice. He leaned closer, his breath icy against my cheek. "That's exactly how it happened." Memories flashed, too fast, too sharp. A hallway. Smoke. Me. My own voice shouting, but not for him. For myself. I squeezed my eyes shut, but the images wouldn't stop. I didn't mean to, I whispered, the words slipping out before I could stop them. You didn't mean to save me? He replied, his voice breaking just enough to cut deeper. The elevator shuddered violently, throwing me against the wall. His eyes never left me, even as the metal groaned around us. You left me to die, he said, each word deliberate, heavy. I thought you were gone, I choked out. I thought there was nothing I could do. His jaw tightened. You didn't even try. I shook my head, tears blurring my vision. I was scared, I admitted, my voice breaking. I didn't know what to do. And now you do, he said simply, stepping so close our breaths mingled. Now you'll face the truth. The air between us felt electric, charged with years of unspoken betrayal. I wanted to scream, to run, but there was nowhere to go. Only him. Only the truth. My chest felt tight, like the air had been drained from the room. If I could go back. I started, but he cut me off. You can't, he said. What's done is done, but now you have to answer for it. I shook my head furiously. I can't face that again. He leaned in, voice low and final. You already are. The elevator suddenly plunged into total darkness, the hum of the emergency power dying. My breath caught in my throat, my world now only sound and memory. His voice came from everywhere at once, deep and resonant. You will tell me the truth before this ends. In the suffocating black I realized I wasn't afraid of dying here. I was afraid of remembering. The darkness pressed against my skin, thick and suffocating. My breath came in shallow bursts, as I whispered, "Where are you?" His voice answered from the black, low and sharp. Right here. A hand closed around my wrist, cold as stone. I jerked back, my pulse hammering. "Let me go," I shouted, but he held firm. "Not until you tell me the truth," he said. The elevator groaned, the sound vibrating through my bones. "I didn't mean to leave you," I cried. His grip tightened. "You chose to," he hissed. My eyes darted, but there was no escape, only the void and his relentless presence. I was scared. I screamed. I thought I'd die too. His silence was worse than his words. Then, in the darkness, his breath brushed my ear. "And yet you lived. Tell me why." I ran, I admitted, my voice breaking under the weight of the words. I ran because I wanted to live. The confession hung heavy, unreturnable. His voice was quiet but venomous. "And you left me to die." My stomach twisted. "I thought you were already gone," I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I believed it anymore. The elevator lights flickered briefly, showing his face, no longer calm but carved with pain. "You didn't even try," he said. I shook my head, tears streaming freely. "I was weak. I was selfish." "Finally," he murmured, "you're telling the truth." The light faded again, leaving me with only his breathing. I wanted to speak, but my voice was gone. "Now you understand why you're here," he said. The words felt like a closing door. "To answer for what you did." I swallowed hard. "And if I don't?" His answer came like a blade. "Then you stay here, with me." The air seemed to grow colder. My hands trembled as I whispered, I can't live like that." "Then face it," he said. "Face me." I drew in a shaky breath, my voice breaking. "I should have saved you." His figure was still, but I felt the weight of his stare. "Yes," he said. The single word sliced deeper than any accusation. Tears blurred my vision. "I'm sorry," I whispered. He stepped closer, until his forehead nearly touched mine. "It's too late for sorry," he murmured. "But not too late for truth." The elevator shook violently, throwing us both against the wall. His hand pinned mine, his eyes boring into me. "You will remember all of it," he said. The elevator's hum rose into a deafening roar. Images flashed behind my eyes, smoke, fire, his voice calling my name. I gasped, the memory finally breaking free. I heard you, I said, my voice shaking. I heard you calling, and I still ran. His eyes softened, not forgiveness, but understanding. And now you remember, he said quietly. Now you know why you're here. My knees buckled, and I sank to the floor, the truth crushing me. He crouched beside me, his presence no less suffocating. This is where it begins, he whispered. The elevator stilled. But the silence was worse than the noise. The elevator was still now, but the silence was unbearable. My confession clung to the air like smoke. I stared at the floor, my voice raw. I can't undo it. His shadow moved closer, a slow and deliberate presence. No, he said softly, but you can live with it. I looked up, startled by the change in his tone. His eyes still held the same darkness, but there was something else, something almost human. How? I asked. By remembering, he replied. By never letting yourself forget what you're capable of, for better or worse. I felt my chest tighten, not from fear this time, but from the weight of truth settling in. And if I can't, I whispered. He stepped back, fading into the dimness. Then you'll be back here again, until you can. I pressed my palms against the cold floor, grounding myself. Why me? I asked, my voice trembling but steady enough to demand an answer. His eyes narrowed slightly. Because you've carried this weight alone for too long. He crouched down, his gaze level with mine. It was always going to find you. The thought chilled me. So this was inevitable? He nodded. Some debts can't be outrun. I swallowed hard, my mind spinning with everything I had tried to bury. Then, what happens now? He glanced upward at the ceiling as the elevator hummed faintly back to life. Now you decide whether you keep running, or start living. The hum grew louder, and for the first time in what felt like hours, the elevator moved. My stomach dropped, not from the motion, but from the thought of leaving this confined truth behind. When those doors open, he said, everything out there will look the same. But you won't be. I bit my lip, unsure if that was a promise or a warning. And you? I asked. He gave the faintest smile. I'll always be here, whether you see me or not. The words lodged deep in my chest. The walls seemed less suffocating now, but the weight in my heart heavier than ever. The numbers above the doors flickered upward, one floor at a time. Each ding felt like a countdown. What if I fail again? I asked. His voice was calm but absolute. Then you face it again, until you don't. I clenched my fists, feeling the metal under my fingertips. I don't want to be this person anymore. He tilted his head slightly. Then don't be, but don't forget her either. The elevator slowed, the hum fading into a mechanical sigh. I knew that whatever awaited me beyond these doors would carry his shadow. The elevator chimed, and the doors slid open to a blinding white light. I lifted my head, squinting against it. When my eyes adjusted, the hallway beyond was empty. I turned back. He was gone. My chest tightened, not with fear, but with the hollow ache of absence. I stepped forward, each footfall echoing too loud. The truth was mine now, whether I wanted it or not. And somewhere, in the shadowed corners of my mind, I knew he was still there, watching, waiting, ready to return if I ever dared to run again. The hallway stretched out in both directions, impossibly long, lit by harsh white fluorescence that hummed like a swarm of insects. My footsteps echoed, sharp and lonely. I turned left, instinct guiding me, but the weight of his absence clung to my shoulders. Every shadow along the walls seemed to watch me. You're free now, I whispered to myself, though the words felt hollow. The air was still, but my pulse was not. It was racing, frantic, like it knew something I didn't. Then faintly behind me, a breath. Slow. Intentional. I froze, my breath catching. The sound had been real. I was sure of it. Slowly, I turned my head, my eyes darting toward the elevator at the far end. The doors were still open, their red emergency light bleeding into the sterile hallway. But they were empty. Completely empty. I took a hesitant step back, my heartbeat loud enough to drown the hallway's hum. "It's over," I tried again, but my voice cracked in the middle. That's when I noticed it, just inside the elevator on the floor, a single folded scrap of paper. I approached slowly, each step echoing until I stood in the threshold of the elevator. The paper sat perfectly centered, as if placed with purpose. My hands trembled as I crouched down and picked it up. The texture was rough, the fold precise. I hesitated before opening it, every instinct screaming not to. But I did. Inside, written in dark, jagged ink, were 4 words: "We're not finished yet." My breath came out sharp, and in that moment I knew he was still here. Somewhere. A sudden gust of cold air swept through the hallway, though no doors had opened. I straightened quickly, the note still in my hand. The red light from the elevator flickered, then dimmed, leaving the space in shadow. From somewhere behind me, a whisper, my name drawn out slow, almost tender. I spun around, but the hallway was empty. The whisper came again, closer this time, and my skin prickled. The paper slipped from my hand. The note hit the floor in silence. I stepped back into the elevator without thinking, my breath uneven. The doors began to close on their own, slow and deliberate. Just before they shut completely, I caught a glimpse, a figure at the far end of the hall watching me. Then darkness. The elevator hummed again, and in the black, a whisper breathed against my ear. "We'll start again."